CommonX with Jared and Ian. I mean, there's got to be a common sense approach to this. I mean, right?
Generation X has been quiet way too 15 seconds, velocity 2,700 feet per second, altitude 9.
If it's always we know.
CommonX.
I want my MT.
Hey, and I feel fine.
Welcome to CommonX with Jared and Ian, episode 11, with our special guest, the Prince of Pop Punk, Danny Wright. Danny, how you doing today, man?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Excited to be here.
So, Danny, what inspired you to pick up a guitar and start your journey as a musician, brother?
It all started when I was a teen. I'd say Blink-182 is one of my biggest influences. A band called Stereophonics. When I was younger, I just wanted to play guitar because I thought it was really cool. And I bought my first guitar by saving up from doing a paper round and stuff, and got my guitar and I taught myself initially. But it was that sort of like Green Day, Blink-182 era. I was like, they're cool as fuck. Like, I just want to learn guitar just like that.
That's awesome, man.
That's
What was the moment that you realized that you like really wanted to be a rock star? So you started playing guitar, but like, when was that? Was there a defining moment for you?
Initially I just wanted to play guitar. I never saw myself as like a singer, not even a songwriter really, but I think later on when I started bands and stuff in school. Started learning like a bunch of songs, and I guess it's when learning other songs, I wanted to write my own songs, and I thought I could write. I believe that I could write just as well as Blink-182, Green Day, and stuff. So I think a bit later on, after learning guitar, I was like, yeah, I think I can, be on stage performing my own stuff. I never really thought about being a rock star. I don't even know what that really means, but I think it was more about when I wanted to write my own songs, which was like once I learned the instrument to a certain stage. I never wanted to be like a Slash or anything and be like a guitar, like showing off like my skill. Because I feel like I'm okay with guitar, but I use it more to write songs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once I felt like I reached that ability to write a song, I was like, actually, what I want to do is write my own songs and perform them. It was shortly after learning the guitar.
That's awesome, man. So
awesome.
You mentioned Green Day and Blink-182. Those are, and this is a Gen X podcast too, so that's like near and dear to our heart. That's like what we. I mean, the sound is killer. Were there any other influences that kind of helped you develop your craft? Yeah,
definitely. So Blink-182 and Green Day, I'd say they influenced me to learn the guitar and like want to be in a band. But pre that, I was very much into a band called Stereophonics, which they're from here in the UK. I don't know if you heard of them. They're like a Welsh band. And I used to love that band. And I guess they kind of got me into kind of like guitar music. Before that, I was pretty much a pop kid in a way. I grew up in the 90s and stuff, so I was into like, I was exposed to the MTV era of like boy bands and girl bands and stuff. But I've always loved music, and I've always loved performing, and I've always appreciated the performing arts. So I feel like the influence into performing in general was, from a kid really, when I was really young. So my family used to listen to Michael Jackson and things like that, and I think that had an influence on me as well.
Awesome. So you've got quite a large following there, Danny. What did you find to be the most challenging part of breaking into the music industry?
Most challenging part, I'd say it's just sort of the resilience and, just to keep going. It's been, because I've been doing it for a long time. Like you said, I've been in bands before. I'm now a solo artist. I've been in the industry for a long time pursuing it. But yeah, I think it's just the fact that I've been going and keeping on, and there's been so many times when I've wanted to tap out from it, but I've just kept going. So I'd say resilience, like keeping that resilience there and the consistency to keep going. It's been somewhat challenging, but at the same time, that's been my tool to keep going, to maintain the resilience.
What's the music scene like there? Is there a lot of bands like locally that you have to like compete against, or like do you perform locally mostly, or throughout Europe, or what?
In the UK, it's I'd say it's hard to compare it because I'm from the UK, so I haven't really sort of established myself in any other territory. Like I am very much by the American music scene, but I guess I've never really been in it,
Okay.
But the UK scene is like it. I do think it's quite small. It's quite small, and that we've got a handful of bands that are doing very well here, and some of them do well outside of the UK. But so I've just come off a tour, so I played a few cities. I don't really play local shows anymore. I used to. When I started out, I did a bunch of but yeah, there's a lot of touring going on in the UK. There's a lot of great venues. Yeah, I feel like there's quite a healthy live music scene right now. It's a lot more healthier than it was a few years ago. So post COVID, like
I have a question for you about like creative process, like inspiration and stuff. They're like, how do you typically start a new song? Do you start like writing lyrics? Do you start with like a melody or beat, like in your head, specific theme, things like that?
for me personally, I feel like I'm one of these artists that I feel like this isn't a great thing for me, but I'm sort of like when the moment comes and like creative flow, like when that comes sporadically, that's when I try and capture it. And that's when I write. I write when I'm feeling inspired. But I know a lot of other writers, they schedule their writing and they plan. And I haven't really got to that stage because I'm quite I'm a vulnerable writer. I write stuff. My songs I've done the last few years very a bit biographical, not like very real stuff. So one day I'll just be jamming my stuff just for fun, just for with no purpose, just because I want to kill time, because I want to play guitar, because I love guitar. And I come up with something when I'm just noodling away that might inspire an emotion, and that emotion might inspire time in my life or what I'm going through at that time, and that might inspire lyrics that would inspire a melody.
So, Danny, can you share a story from your earlier days as a musician that kind of still makes you laugh to this very day? Do you have anything like that?
My earlier days, so my first experience with music was touring and stuff with my first band, and we were so naive and so like new to it all that we were learning. We got like when I first started touring, I was really young, and we used to like sleep in a van. And, like the thought of sleeping in a van now just makes me like there's no way I can do that now. We used to tour like the UK, and we had this van, and we'd pull up in like service stations, or yeah, I think you call them that as well, like a service station.
Sure.
Yeah. And we'd stay there for the night and sleep in the cold, and like 5 guys, small van, like huddled up together, or we'd sleep on people's floors, or we'd travel like 6 hours to play to like 5 people, and it's just mad because we thought that's what we had to do. Well, we did have to do that, But the thought of doing it now is just like, I wouldn't do that now. Like, not that I've become like a diva, but I really like my sleep. So if I can be in a bed, get a hot shower, I'm so grateful.
Right.
Instead of 5 dudes in a van, right?
Yeah. You literally got that, like, that whole
With your
experience.
gear probably too, right?
So how do you balance the chaos of touring, like, and how do you stay grounded? I mean, that's got to be pretty wild, right?
It is. I've literally just come off a tour now. Like, I've literally a few days off a recent headline tour. So I'm literally just trying to adapt now back to like just like not touring, because it is touring life is very different. Like, you're not sleeping, you're staying somewhere every night. That's different, and you're playing shows. But how do I balance it? It's a good question. I think I try to, when I come up, like right now I'm decompressing from tour, so when I come off tour I try to give myself some like time to recoup, re-energize, and then I get back into, because I'm an independent artist and completely DIY, so I don't really have a team or anything. So my thing is to keep the admin going, the engagement going, the activity going. But obviously I need some rest as well after doing something, because the tour I just did was DIY as well. It's something I organised. So I was running the shows, I promoted the shows, I organised the events essentially. So yeah, for me it's, I tried to give myself a couple of days after to just not do anything, and then get back into it, because it's just a constant thing. That's just really, music in general is just a constant activity, whether you're writing, touring, performing, keeping your marketing up to date with social media and things like that. It's just constant.
And that's pretty wild. That's kind of like a Nikki Sixx thing that we have here. I mean, that guy like ran Motley Crue pretty much, like, that's pretty wild. So you do all of that stuff. Huh.
Yeah, literally do it all. I'm quite delusional, but yeah, I literally do everything. And I feel like there was at some point in my sort of journey where I felt like I felt like I had to take the reins, because I've been in the industry for a while, and I've been like burnt a lot of times. I've met some good people and I've met some bad people, but it's a cliche thing to say, but no one's ever going to care about your art as much as you, the artist. And it's so true. Like, no one will ever push you as much as you yourself, or be so invested as you, when you're putting so much into it emotionally and physically and time wise and financially. So not that I have to feel like I have to control everything, because I do try to delegate what I can, but at the end of the day it's like, I want to know every element of what's going on, and I'm my biggest promoter in a way. I feel like if I don't do it, who else is going to? Right.
Now, do you have so being that you organize everything yourself, do you have a favorite venue or a favorite city that you like to perform in?
So I just performed in Birmingham here in the UK, and that was like really, really good. I also performed in Glasgow, which is in Scotland, which is north of the UK, and that was good. So I'm based in London, and London's really good as well. So I'd say, I don't know, it's hard to say actually. It's different. Here in the UK, the crowds are different. Like up north, they're different to down south, but just a different energy. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say London, because it is technically my hometown shows there. They're always like the biggest shows, and always like.
So is the music scene there? Is there like a lot of venues in London that you can play at, or do you just play at like one or two?
Oh, there's tons of venues in London. There's so many. Camden is a really good area in London for live music, but yeah, there's tons of venues, all different sizes. And for me personally, my goal is to incrementally grow the capacity of each show. So rather than like gigging in London as much as possible, I sort of spread them out and do it every so often, and every gig that I do, I aim to make it slightly bigger, like the venue. So, but yeah, when I started out with my solo project, all I did was gig around London, doing open mic nights and gigs and opening for other bands. And yeah, you could do a gig every night in London.
So now, is it just you, or do you have band members as well?
So when I perform live, I perform with a band. Yeah,
Okay.
got a drummer and a guitarist, and we're like a hybrid setup. So yeah, perform with a band.
So they play in like multiple other bands too, or how's that work?
Yeah, so I've got yeah, they do. So my guitarist Bobby, he's kind of got his own artist project, and my drummer Fabio he's a session player, so he plays for a bunch of other artists. But I've worked with these guys for a few years now, so they've been essentially my band for when I do live shows.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask you, man. It's kind of a fun question. What? So have you ever had like a fail or an unexpected moment on stage? And if you have, how do you handle that?
What was that? A fail? Would you say?
Yeah. Have you ever had like you tripped on something or I'm
Dude.
like thinking to the movie remember that movie with Mark Wahlberg where I think it's literally called Rockstar, right? And he's like coming out on stage, he falls like super bad, cracks his head open, he gets up and he's like, yeah, like that kind of thing. Have you ever had like a fail?
So I've got there's two moments. It's so funny you asked that because there's one recent moment that's like going to stay with me for the rest of my life. But another moment that comes to mind is, and this was in my old band, I did fall on stage once, which was like I fell back over a monitor, and the stage was like, and I fell off the stage, but I played it off, and everyone was laughing, so I didn't make it all. But things like that are bound to happen, I think, because it's it's dark and you're in the moment, but something that happened on this recent tour, which turned out to be such a magical moment, was so I in the middle of my set I do an acoustic track, and I do it through the PA, like the microphone on stage as part of the set, and my acoustic guitar, the battery was dead on it, and I hadn't realized, and when the battery dies, and you've got your cable plugged in, your jack, it creates this like really ugly noise, and I was like, shit, what are we gonna do? And so someone's like, I'll go get a battery from the dressing room, which was like up a few flights of stairs. I was like, no, it's gonna take too much time. And I said, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do it a cappella. I was gonna be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do the song a cappella in the crowd, not in the PA. So like literally just like acoustic guitar and vocals. And for me personally, I'm not really that sort of artist. I'm like, I grew up on like Blink and Green Day. I consider myself like more like punk rock, I'm not really like a Whitney Houston or whatever, but I did this, and the whole venue were like singing along, they got their torches out, and it was such a magical moment where everything just like stood still for a moment, and it was something that was a fail turned into like a memorable magical moment. So yeah, that happened recently, and that's sick.
See, that's awesome, man. That seems like what seems to make or break an artist is how you handle something like that, man. That's totally cool. Have you ever had a creative block? And how do you overcome something like that? Have you ever experienced that?
I have actually. So it's kind of how my solo journey started. So I used to be in bands and stuff, and band like ended, and I didn't know what I was going to do going forward in my life. Really, I always knew I wanted to do music, but I never thought I'd do it again. And I believed that I couldn't write music. I had this like writer's block, mental block, and all these things going on. And yeah, essentially I had writer's block, and I bought all these books to try and overcome writer's block. And what actually got me over it was therapy. I started doing therapy and stuff, and I broke through this sort of like self-doubt and stuff, and yeah, I overcame it through like some therapy basically, and before that I literally had like the worst writer's block. I never believed writer's block was a thing. I thought it was like sort of like a saying, cliche sort of writers, creatives thing, which is not really real, but I experienced it, and then I broke through it. And ever since then, one of my mantras has been "fuck perfection," and like something I learned in therapy is like a lot of creatives, especially, and people in general, that they're perfectionists. They want everything to be perfect before they present it, but imperfect is what's perfect and what is beautiful. And it's something ever since I had that therapy session and broke through that writer's block that I've presented to my fans a lot and through my music, saying we don't need to be perfect, we just need to be us, we just need to be you. The fact that you're doing it and you know, doing it to a certain ability is enough. Like, you are enough. So yeah, ever since then I feel like writer's block is not really a real thing for me now, because my like anti-writer's block thing is fuck perfection. So that's my mantra. So I think anyone who's hearing this right now has a creative block. Fuck perfection.
It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard, man. That's wild. Is there a particular song or album that you're particularly proud of?
Of mine?
Yeah. Is there anything that just real particular and special to you right now?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. So I've never done an album, and that is my goal, to do an album one day. Like I do, that's my next sort of goal. So I do want to do a body of work like that. But in terms of songs, so I always say "Staying In" is a very important song to me. This kind of like started this whole journey of the solo artist journey.
Wasted my day, waking up at 4 p.m. Is this the life that I've been dreaming of? Pull back the blinds and the sunlight burns my eyes. Here we go with another daily grind. So much to get through, I know what I'll start it in a minute or two. Lay back in bed, reminisce instead. Let's plan it all in my head. Procrastination, self-stimulation, instant gratification. I'm self-medicating, therapists recommending more meditating. Wasted education, I need more admiration. And I don't wanna bother with today. I pretty much missed it anyway. Might as well stay, yeah. And I don't wanna bother with today. I pretty much missed it anyway. Might as well stay, yeah. And I'm staying in. Come dine with me, repeat it on channel 3. I watch it cause I'm feeling hungry. Try and shift the mood, so I ordered Chinese food. Said fuck it, just keep the change, dude. Finance situation, spent on dedication. Dreams of Wembley Stadium and my name carved in the pavement. And I don't wanna bother with today. I pretty much missed it anyway. Might as well stay, yeah. And I don't wanna bother with today. I pretty much missed it anyway. Might as well stay, yeah. And I'm staying in. I'm staying in.
And yeah, that will always be an important song to me. It's very vulnerable, it's very like in the moment. But I'd also say one of my more recent songs, Not Dead Yet, was it's a song I'm proud of because it was birthed out of a moment when I thought I was going to give up everything. And the song is about resilience, you know, not dead yet, not giving up. And I was at that point of like, what am I doing in my life? I was having loads of shit going on in my life. And I was like, can I do this? Should I do this? And the song was birthed out of that. It wasn't even planned. I had one of those moments where I was just jamming away. And this song has now become like such an anthem for a lot of people who come to my shows and follow me, and they say that song's like saved me. I had fans at my last tour who've got like my signature tattooed on them and stuff, and lyrics and stuff. And they said, since I met you, you've like saved my life. And like hearing stuff like that is just insane. And people relating to that song in particular so much, it's like, that was something that I felt like I had to say. But now it's like when I present it, when I play it live, before I go into it, I say, this song is about not giving up in anything in life, like whether it's giving up in life or of life and giving up on something we want to do, something we can all access within us as human beings, and it's all inbuilt within us is resilience. And that song is about accessing that resilience and keeping on going. And yeah, that song's become like, I feel like it's become such an anthem and so important. And the fact that it was like an unplanned song to write. I feel like personally, when I listen to other bands and how their songs were created, when it's the songs that were just birthed out of a moment, it wasn't like, okay, we got 2 weeks to write songs in the studio, let's go write something. You know, when it's unplanned and it's written quickly or something, I feel like they're the best songs. And my song Not Dead Yet is definitely one of those sort of like songs that was written that way.
That's incredible. So you mentioned other bands. Like, what role does collaboration play in your music? Do you ever like link up with other bands too, and like say, hey, let's do a jam together, or let's collaborate? Do you have any collaborations?
I have done some writing sessions with other artists and musicians. I wrote a song recently with a couple of musicians. One of my songs, called Broken Youth, was written with a musician of a band that I really looked up to years ago, called Lower Than Atlantis, and the guitarist of that band became a producer, and we wrote a song together. I've actually got a song coming out soon, which was sort of like co-written with another writer. So that was, yeah, so I've done a few collaborations. I haven't done many. I do want to do a lot more writing sessions with other musicians.
So, Danny, I got to ask you, man, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
Well, I do have another job. I'm still trying to make music my like full. This surprises people quite a lot because my other job is foot modeling, and that's like what I do. I guess if I wasn't doing music, I'd probably be doing more of that.
Oh, it's interesting.
What got you into that? Just something to pay the bills, or?
Yeah, it's just definitely something to. But yeah, it's a random thing I got into years ago when someone just asked, "Have you ever considered doing foot modeling?" And I said, "Is that a real thing?" And then I've been doing that for almost 10 years now.
A good question for you. So, if you could perform anywhere in the world, like anywhere, right? Where would it be and why?
I've got to be honest, man. It's got to be the States. It's got to be. I've been heavily. I grew up on a diet of American culture. I guess a lot from the West Coast, a lot of bands, stuff like so. You know, to play somewhere west, do a tour, like all over America, really.
Right.
I've been to America a bunch of times, and I love it. But I know you guys are American, so hearing that probably not very like exciting. But for me, it is like coming from England, which with Texas, the state on its own is like I don't know how many times bigger than our whole country. So I just feel like for how I've been influenced, like musically and what I'm into, my style, and to like play the country, like to tour America was insane. And
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's that far off. Like I'm working on things to do that, but yeah, that's been one of my dreams for years.
So you start in Seattle and work your way down.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're ever up this way, we're both from Washington State, man. If you come to Seattle, you gotta let us know. We gotta hook up.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm still. Do you know what? I probably sound like not very educated because I'm still learning about. I feel like I know all the states, but I'm still being told about like different states. So the fact that Washington, and then you got Washington DC, that's a bit confusing for someone like me. But I know that's a state, and then Washington is part of district, like that's somewhere else, right?
Right. Yeah. The president of the United States is all the way on the other end of the country. We're completely on the opposite side. Yeah. And we're not far from like where we were, growing up listening to Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, and like it all hit like as a wave at the same time. Like Green Day and Nirvana and Soundgarden, all those guys just hit all at the same time. It was just like I was growing up as a kid. There was like Will Smith and whatever, and then there was all of a sudden, boom, this cool like just boom
The grunge
music,
right.
And it all hit at the same time. Chris Cornell and Pearl Jam, all of it, and there might have been like kind of like this Motley Crue thing kind of going on, and then it just like, whoa, what is grunge? What is this? And then I mean that all happened like where I grew up. It was crazy. 45 minutes away from where I grew up. So then when I came across your Instagram feed and I heard what you were playing, I was like, holy smokes, what is this? It kind of felt like that sonic boom that I got hit with once before. And that's really cool. So that's why we're so, I'm like, I'm super excited to have you on. And like, I really hope that you make it over here. And like I said, too, if you, since you're kind of unfamiliar with it, I mean, we could totally help you out on like where you could go and where you should play and everything, because you've just got that sound. And like I said, it really resonates with Gen X. I like the kind of newer thing too. That kind of, some of it kind of, how do you, some of it kind of like is there kind of like some rap stuff going on too? Did you have any influence with rap in your music as well?
Yeah, I've got some. There's a few tracks that's got a bit of like rappy verses, but I'm quite. I'm into a bit of everything. I do feel I've got a bit of an eclectic music taste. So when I was younger, I was into rock. I got into guitar music, but at the same time, I was also into hip hop. I was big into Eminem. Used to like Eminem, and I was actually, not many people know this, but when I was in school, when I was like, I can't remember which year it was, but I know it. I think it's like one of the first years of secondary school, which is equivalent to your high school. I was in like a rap group, and it was an MC group, a bunch of friends, and we were all rappers in a way, and we had friends who'd like DJ on decks, and then people would like, it's so funny actually, but yeah, it's like we'd MC over beats, and that was a thing, a very short period in my life. But I've always been into a bit of everything, so there was, when I went solo, I felt like, because when I was in a band, I felt like I couldn't have done anything like that, like incorporating a bit of hip hop and stuff. When I went solo, I thought, it's just me, I've got the full range. So I've always been open to experimenting with different sounds, really. But I wouldn't call myself a rapper. I wouldn't even say I can rap that well, but I appreciate it, and I understand it to a certain extent. So I thought I'd incorporate it into some songs, and I probably would still incorporate it into some more stuff in the future. But predominantly, I'm just a songwriter, and that can come out in any genre. My main genre is rock music. It comes under the rock umbrella. But at the end of the day, I just see myself as a songwriter. I've got a song in my catalogue called Something About You, which is basically an acoustic piano ballad, and a lot of my fans love that. But ultimately it's like, it's a love song ballad, But then I've got my song like Trainwreck, which is like, in your face punk. So
that is, dude, I was listening to that, man. I like that Trainwreck. I like that one. It's got a pretty cool video to it too. It's kind of interesting that you talk about that being kind of eclectic too, because I mean, we've got artists over here. You look at Jelly Roll. He started as a rapper, and now he's just, big time country star. Like, he took over country. I saw an interview with his wife, and his wife was like, "Yeah, I married a rapper, and now, I'm on country music television." It's like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So Danny, do you have a message for young aspiring artists that are wanting to get into doing what you're doing and becoming a part of the music industry? Do you have a message for those up and coming artists?
For young artists, I'd say if you really want to get into it, from being on the other end of it, like, because I could give a message from like an earlier version of me, like, just go for it. But then, like, the message I'd give now of experience is like, know that it is a lot of hard work, and everything's hard work, I guess. But the music thing, I've seen people come and go, and people like tap out, once things get really tough. I do think you need something to hold on to that keeps you going. For me personally, I do have a huge passion for music. I'm a music geek. I love music. So I'm a cliche music lover. I'm passionate about it. If you're trying to get into it for like clout or money or fame or to get laid or whatever, it's not going to last. Like, that will burn out quickly. You really need to hold on to something that will keep you going through those tough times, and those highs are stick. But when those lows come, like, what's going to keep you powering through? And if the lows are too low for you to like, and you're like, no, I don't want to feel that, I don't want to experience that, then I don't think people would last. So yeah, I'd say connect to what the thing is of why you want to do it so much, and hold on to it and don't lose that.
It's real inspiration.
That's great.
So you've been dubbed the Prince of Punk Pop. Do I have that correct?
Pop punk, yeah.
Pop punk. Okay. All right. So how did that come about?
Yeah, that was quite cool actually. So I was doing some radio interviews with BBC Radio over here, which I think stands for British Broadcast Channel or Corporation, which is, you guys heard of BBC?
It's
out there?
huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. Like even over here, it's huge, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did, I was just doing some interviews then, and a DJ said, we have the Prince of Pop Punk in our studio today, and it just stuck. And I thought it was a sick moniker, and it got used a few times by BBC, and then in press releases it was getting used, and my fans still call me that, the Prince of Pop Punk, and the UK's Prince of Pop Punk. And yeah, that's how it sort of come about. And I am very influenced by pop punk, and I don't know, I think I did think it's quite fitting. That was a few years ago now, but people still call me that, so I think it's pretty cool.
That's wild. So have you met any of your heroes?
So my heroes would be Travis Barker is a hero of mine. I'd love to meet him. I've not met him. Machine Gun Kelly is becoming a hero of mine. I've not met him. So no, not really.
So in that same vein, if you could collaborate with anybody, who would you just die to collaborate with?
100% Travis Barker.
Okay.
Travis Barker, because the reason I say that is because, well, I'm a huge Blink-182 fan, first and foremost, but I feel like with my style of music in the last like 4 years or so, like he's really been one of the staples of like rejuvenating the genre in a way, with that whole like post-COVID boom with pop punk, with like Machine Gun Kelly and all these new artists coming out. He was sort of like the producer of it all. He was sort of like they started calling it Travis Barker pop punk, Travis Barker era music. So I've got a lot of respect for that guy, because he's a musician, he's like an entrepreneur. What he's doing, he's still like keeps himself relevant. He keeps his ear to the ground with new artists, and I think he's just cool as fuck. And yeah, I'd love to collaborate with him.
Can you tell us about the track Broken Youth?
Yeah. So that was the track that I co-wrote with another musician. We did the music together, but I wrote the lyrics. Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs to play live. It always goes down really well live. Lyrically, it's kind of about not conforming to society expectations, and in a personal way, it's more sort of akin to my upbringing and being told that I should do this and this, and me sort of like going a little bit against the grain with it, and trying to find my own voice and find my own way and stand in my own ground and advocating for the things I want. So yes, it's kind of like a anti-conformist track, but in a way that's a bit more rather than just fuck the system. It's a bit more personal to me. It's more my experience of what I personally went through. So, but with it being a bit relatable in terms of like something we can all relate to, is like, you know, people are saying this is how you should live your life, but you want to live your life like this. So it's kind of like, what do you want to do? Do you want to please everyone to keep the peace and make everything safe? Or you up for disrupting things and causing a bit of chaos, what you want? And that's kind of what the song's about.
Yeah, I really dig it, man. It seems like kind of like an anthemic fuck you, really. You know, it's quite inspirational.
So you kind of describe yourself as more of a songwriter. Have you looked at or looked into like writing songs for other artists, or like do you have like this huge, like 14 notebooks full of songs, and you could be like, hey, I think this would be good for like Travis, like you were talking about, or for somebody else?
I do have a shitload of ideas on my phone, voice notes and stuff. I have so many ideas I need to get through. But yes, that is something I want to do. I've never actually done it. I've never written for anyone else, but it is something I would do. I feel like I'm such in a sort of like artist era, like being the artist myself, where I'm so focused on that, where I'm kind of like, if I felt like I wrote something that was sick or a banger, I'd be like, okay, that's me. But yeah, I would definitely write for other people. It is something I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to do, like, write for an artist like Avril Lavigne. Like, I would love to write for Avril Lavigne or an artist like that. That sort of music, the sort of like really pop, punk, pop, fun, anthem-y summer tune. I would love to do that for the right sort of artist.
So have you had any like pushback against sort of this fearless approach to societal issues? Like, have you ever had to address anything that like have you been like, basically the media is like, oh, that's a controversial message or anything like that? Have you had any pushback against your beliefs?
Not really from like me or anything, but just in general, like, yeah, all the time I'm sort of battling that in my personal life. I'm in my 30s and I'm doing music, pursuing music. I personally think everything's changed now with age. There's still this old school like mindset of like, if you haven't made it when you're a teenager, then, what's the point? But I do feel like there's a bit of like the lifestyle I'm pursuing is sort of frowned upon by certain people. So yeah, I feel like I'm up against that a lot. But that sort of stuff inspires me even more, and it bleeds into my music. A lot of my music I write now is it's kind of about that, really, and in a way it's always been about that, because I've always sort of questioned, I'm a very curious person, so I've always questioned life and people's life choices, and I'm quite into sociology, and so I'm sort of not like, I'm not like fuck the system anti, but I question, what's the plan for life, what we doing. I've got this song called American Dream.
I'm scared down.
it's called American Dream, so it's understandable. But it's, you know, I'm from the UK here, and you know, we're presented this idea of meritocracy, which is like if you work hard enough, you can achieve what you want. But then there's a lot of flaws within that sort of like message and ethos, and I wrote a song about it. And as I've got older, I never really wanted to. For me, when I first got into music, I never saw myself as like someone who's going to talk about stuff like that. You know, I always, you know, I was into Blink-182, so I was always into like just fun, upbeat music. But as I've lived more, and I've learned more about life, and I've had my own experiences, now I write about shit that I see and stuff, and the way I see the world. And I just feel like it's important, even though like I'm still growing and stuff as an artist, and you know, I feel like I've got a long way to go. The fact that there's a lot of people hear what I've got to say, and it is affecting them. I do feel like it's important for a lot of people to have a perspective of life and the world where you do get your own choices. Because I think a lot of people just think, no, we've got to do what, you know, society says or system says. This is, you know, we go to we get a job, we go to university, study, get a job, and then buy a house, and then have a family, and then boom, whatever, and that's it. And it's all set out for us. And my sort of message is, you know, you can build on your self-belief, you can build on what you want to do, you can be the person you want, you can experience loads of different things, you can grow as a person, as a human, by finding out more about yourself. So I think it's important to hear that, you know, whether it's from me, whether it's from other artists, actors, movies, media. So whether that's controversial or not, that's what I'm doing. And I know it is controversial to people who don't believe that, but I feel like it's important.
Yeah, I think that's important too. Like, you know, music is kind of that genre that can cross all those boundaries, right? And talk about it and, you know, send that message and get it out to broader people. Like, you know, we have like this little podcast, right? We have ideas and thoughts and how we see the world. And we're trying to kind of bring, like we say, common sense back because it kind of, I don't know, evaporated out of humanity for some reason. I don't know if it's that way in England, but it's pretty bad in America. So that was kind of one of the reasons we started this. And I kind of see that with the music that I listen to too, is, you know, a lot of people talk about what's going on in their lives and, you know, with humanity currently today. And I think that's gives people a voice, right? Because they can't sing, right? Or they can't do that.
Yeah.
And so listening to somebody else, like you said, you know, like how you feel, I guarantee it's not just you, right? There's a lot of other people that probably feel the same way. And that's why I think artists that can relate more to people in their daily lives, in their songs and music, I think become more popular that way.
100% agree, yeah. And I think as well, like, there's a lot more mediums and platforms and stuff like podcasts, independent podcasts, like different ways of loads of people getting their ideas out there and voices out there. And if it's, you know, if it's genuine and authentic, I think it's amazing, you know, because why should we all just listen to like whatever the mainstream media is? Like, there's millions and millions and millions of people with all these ideas and stuff. And like you just said, we're not so unique where our experience is completely just unique to us. Other people will relate to it and understand what you're saying, and what you voice will be a voice for so many people. So yeah, I do think we're in an amazing time where we can like have a conversation like this, you know, across the world, and speak our true thoughts and ideas and stuff. And another thing as well, I think it's like not being afraid to be ourselves, and talk about how we see the world and what we believe in. I think it's important, especially for young people, to see that and be like, yeah, actually, this is what I'm going through in my life at the moment. I'm okay to express it, rather than, I think as well, for me, if I think back when I was younger, I do feel like I probably felt a bit insecure about expressing certain things because I was just a bit unsure. But I feel like if I was, you know, growing up now as a kid and seeing so many people be expressive online and these different platforms, I feel a bit more like okay to be a bit more expressive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely a change in the world for sure.
For sure.
Well, Danny, I know you're a really hard worker, man. We really appreciate you being out here. It's 9 o'clock your time, right?
It is, yeah. It's just hit 9, yeah.
And you've got what?
Right.
You've got 3-4 days off, just coming off tour. Really appreciate you stopping in and hanging out with us. It's been a great episode here of CommonX with Jared and Ian. Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Wright, the Prince of Pop Punk. Hey, Danny, can I get you to do one thing, man?
Sure, man.
Give us your best rock star I am CommonX. Can you do that?
I am CommonX.
All right.
Wait. I'll do it. I am fucking CommonX. What you fucking saying?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man. All right. Thanks for joining us on CommonX with Jared and Ian. Everybody have a good day, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Danny.
No
Been
worries.
a pleasure.
Cheers. Great to chat.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today to the podcast, CommonX with Jared and Ian. We really appreciate you guys and would love your support. So make sure you click that subscribe or like button or follow us on all our social media platforms and on YouTube and Spotify, because that would really help us out. And that helps us bring more episodes to you guys every week, and hopefully from, content that you guys want to see. So reach out, TikTok, YouTube, leave comments. If there's anything that you guys want to see or any guests that you want us to try and get on, let us know. We do have a good lineup coming. So thank you again. We love you guys. Thanks for your support. And we'll see you next time. And remember, common sense isn't that common. So that's why we're bringing common sense back from Generation X.